All right, guys, we're here. We're live. I thought this day would never come. We're live here in person in Las Vegas. We're here with Antonio Esfandiari for a new Poker Live podcast. What's going on, Antonio? Thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining. We are live. How are you doing?
Did you tell him about the 5K free roll?
Well, yeah, so me and Antonio have been trying to set this up for a little bit, and he told me yesterday, we're going to do it yesterday. He said, if I cancel on you again, I'll give you a 5K free roll. So I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure he's not going to cancel again.
That's right. I'm not the kind of guy that walks away on 5K free rolls. I respect money too much.
All right, I just want to make sure it's running perfectly. These on-location ones can be a challenge. All right, cool. So we are live streaming, guys. Any comments, questions, put them in the chat and let us know. So I think the first time I met you was back in Los Angeles earlier this year at the LAPC Poker Awards sort of thing. And
right.
Do you remember like our first interaction, first thing we said to each other? What was it about?
I remember you coming up, and I remember you in the group that we were hanging out, and I'm like, where do I know this guy from? Mm-hmm. And of course, I saw the interview that you did where you interviewed Lex.
Like, so your best friend.
Oh yeah, he's coming over. We're going to dinner tonight. Him and his entourage of 82. We're all going to dinner tonight. Okay. Anyway, but I couldn't put it together, and then when we said hello.
Or then
it clicked that was you. And
then it made sense. And then I think I sort of asked you. I think I said something about doing like doing a podcast with you, where you would, if you wanted to. You said you were getting a really chance to talk about the comments. I didn't think you were serious when you said you'd actually do a podcast, but then I saw you again at the PLO 6 Max one, and you're like, "Hey, when are you gonna have me on the podcast, man? I want to talk about the Lex thing." I was like, "All right, well, let's do a podcast." So,
by the way, I'm not really dying to talk about the Lex thing. It's something that happened so long ago, and
right.
I've chosen to live my life where I don't let these minuscule nonsense things really bother me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really get involved in that whole thing. I didn't, write a post or, say anything, to Lex on Twitter or anything like that. Cause I mean, realistically, I'm just living my life, and this guy that I don't even know, I don't even know him, comes along and starts calling me names from something that happened 10 years ago. I mean, I kind of have better things to do in my life than that.
No, it makes sense.
You know what I mean? So, but I am surprised that no one has asked me about it.
Yeah. No poker news guys. No to the card.
Yeah. So I mean, it's nice to kind of give. There's always two sides to every story, and I guess I would like to state my side.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's not something that I lost sleep over.
Right.
Because I really don't care about Lex or what he thinks.
Right.
Of me.
So I guess just to reiterate what happened to people who didn't see the first Lex Fellhouse podcast I did with him, or I guess I've done a couple, but he mentioned a time you guys were somewhere in Europe and you invited him to dinner with Phil and Jennifer Tilly and yourself, and he said he was going to meet he was already going to dinner with some friends. Can I bring them with? And then he said that you said that no, you want to keep it exclusive. And
okay, wait, hold on, stop right there. First of all, I would never use that language. Okay. I would never say you can't come to dinner because I want to keep it exclusive. Now, if you're a friend of mine, you'll know that I don't particularly like big dinners. Mm-hmm. Sure, there are the nights where you just don't have control over it. But if I invite you to dinner, right, I'm inviting you to dinner.
Right.
If you're with 4 of your friends, right, I would just, if you invite me to dinner and I'm with 4 of my friends, I would say, you know what, I really appreciate the invite, but let's do another night because I have 4 people with me. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't assume that bringing 4 of my friends is kosher.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? And usually, typically when we go to dinner with my friends, we gamble. But when it's someone new or someone that I don't know very well and I invite them to dinner, my intention is to treat them to dinner. That's just kind of how it works in my upbringing, So to think that it's okay to bring 4 of your friends to dinner is a little aggressive in my thinking. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So whatever words I use with Lex, I guarantee it wasn't, I want to keep dinner exclusive.
That makes sense.
I just wouldn't talk like that.
I mean, it has been years, I'm sure. I mean, I'm friends with Lex. I do like Lex a lot. I think what do you call me? You were calling me like Lex's BFF or something like that. I mean, I got a lot of love for Lex. I mean, he's been someone I played a lot of poker with online over the years and chatted with him a bunch. So listen,
and you know what? I can't say that I don't like Lex because I don't know him. Just because he has a bad opinion of me, doesn't make him a bad person in my eyes. Mm-hmm. He has the wrong impression of me. That's okay. It doesn't mean I hate him.
Do you feel like do you feel like a lot of people have a wrong impression of you? A lot of people have what do you think your impression is in poker these days?
I mean, I would like to think I have a pretty good impression. I mean, I'm nice to everybody, and and I don't know. I don't know what people think of me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I know what Lex thinks of me. But by the way, it wasn't really this whole thing started because of the commentary last year, and that was never mentioned. So what happened is I did the commentary last year for the WSOP final table, and Lex tweeted out, F off Antonio. Okay. That was his tweet.
Just that.
Okay. He obviously didn't agree with my commentary. And, for sure, I'll admit that I messed up a bunch of hands. I actually liked the commentary better when I couldn't see the hands. And then they changed it on me and I could see the hands and I got all confused. So anyway, I wrote an article in which I stated that I think that, doing that is just bad for poker. It's just bad etiquette, but I didn't mention his name in the article because I didn't want any drama in my life.
Yeah.
I wrote the quote that he put on Twitter, but I didn't say this was Lex. I just, figured let's not start anything,
right.
And then this whole thing happened. All of a sudden there's this huge thing on 2+2, your interview with Lex saying I'm a douchebag and all this. And so, that didn't just come out of nowhere. I'm sure it came because I wrote in my article that, I didn't agree with the way he handled the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it started from.
Well, I'm sure at some point in time you guys will see each other and,
yeah, I mean, I hear he's a nice guy, and if I have nothing against him.
Okay. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I did say I'd bring it up within the first couple of minutes, and then we can get out of the way.
I will say
people that watch they're gonna be interested.
I will say that in his story about me 10 years ago, some of the stuff was probably true, and then there was a few things he said that were totally not true. I mean, just not true at all. So, and I'm not calling him a lie. I'm just saying that I don't particularly remember everything that happened 10 years ago.
So it's been a long 10 years, kid. I'm sure you've done. I'm sure you've done some things.
So I just remember watching it and going, well, that's just absolutely not true. So and then and then everybody's like, well, why don't you get on and make a post and defend yourself? And I'm like, you know what? I just don't need this in my life. So So that's it. So here we are now, and if I ever run into Lex, I hope he doesn't want to fight me because I have no interest in fighting him.
Have you ever been challenged to a fight by someone, like a poker person or anything like that?
No, I mean,
someone's like, I'm going to kick your ass or what?
I'm not a fighter, man. I'm a lover.
You're a lover, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of get that tone from a lot of the. Can you actually? What I'm looking at you, and I'm just thinking about all the high stakes poker sayings that you always used to say. Man, you have some of the greatest just random quotes of all time on high stakes poker. Like what's the one Gabe Kaplan always gave you shit for about loving your country or I love this country?
Yeah.
And there's your parents would.
Well, I mean, people sometimes might think that I go a little overboard with that, and I've actually toned it down a lot. But in reality, people don't realize that I used to live in a country where there was a war going on. Okay,
which country? This was
Iran.
Iran. Okay.
And so, we were at war with Iraq, and I was a kid, and every day there would be bomb warnings, right? And me with my family would go into the basement and hide and hope to God that our building didn't get blown up. And you'd wake up in the morning, and some building down the street would be gone. And you think to yourself, wow, that could be me.
Right.
So, for me, living in America is the ultimate free roll. You guys, well, you don't live here either. You do, right?
I live in America for a little bit longer, but I'm moving up back outside the country.
Okay. So, people don't realize that there's a whole another world out there, and some people aren't as fortunate as others. And so my dad sacrificed everything to bring us here. And so I didn't have to live that life anymore. So, if I hadn't come to America, what would I be doing in Iran? Number one, I might be dead. Okay. First of all, a deck of cards is illegal. So I couldn't do magic. I couldn't play poker. So, being here is something that I'm really lucky. I'm very, very fortunate to have a father who has the courage to give everything up to bring us here. So.
And this is your dad that's in, I think he's always in the Instagram posts or in the photos. He looks like he has a good time these days.
My dad is awesome. He actually lives in the building right next door.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he live in this exact one across the?
No, he lives on the other side.
Oh, okay, on the other side.
Down a few levels, yeah. But he cruises over every day.
Yeah.
He's a favorite to be over in the next, hour or so. He's actually going with me to Utah right now. So,
cool.
But yeah, he just strolls over every day. He plays with the baby, and I love my dad.
How sick is that, right?
It's awesome. There's nothing like family, and my dad is my hero and my best friend for sure.
Yeah. And little kid crying in the background.
Little baby's awake.
I think Ben Hellstrip. What's up, Ben? Puppy says, I want to know how Antonio first got into magic and then how he transitioned to poker. I think I'm really curious about how the magic. So from magic to poker, I guess is back in the day. When did you even start playing poker then? It was You're like, because you're like the old, like there's like the old school, there's like the first guys, the guys who like first made their name on WPT. You're like really old school too.
You know what's funny is when WPT first came out, you probably don't remember, but their first set of commercials was a set of hands doing some cool stuff with cards, in addition to the poker stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Those were my hands. They used me to film their ads, which was like a card thing. So that's how I initially got introduced to the WPT. Is they hired me to do magic at an event.
That's really interesting. Wow.
When they made their big announcement they were coming out, and it was a Bellagio event, and I met Steve Lipscomb, and he hired me to do magic, and there I was doing magic tricks for a bunch of poker players and a bunch of media, and I wasn't even really. I mean, I was a poker player, but I wasn't. Nobody had a clue that I knew even knew how to play poker.
Right, just like Rocks and Rings days, right?
Please let's not bring that up. You really have to.
I love it. I love that. It's like that's a great motto. Great slogan.
It's terrible. My friends and I, we used to go out in San Francisco all the time. We were young, and my friend formed this group called Rocks and Rings, and he gave us all titles.
Magic crew.
No, it was just like going out crew.
A going out crew.
It was a going out crew.
Okay.
And I mean, it was just silly. We were just kids.
It's kind of what you do when you're young. You have fun. You have a good time. You make up. Yeah.
I wish I could take Rocks and Rings back.
I think I think we always need to go. Rocks and Rings. Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, that's true. Maybe. Do you have like a name for your crew now? You have a name for your going out crew?
No, I don't really go out much anymore.
Yeah, I don't know people. So I'm not sure like if people are new to poker, how much they know about you. But before, I feel like you were like the Vegas guy, like the nightlife guy, the guy everyone came to town. They played high stakes with you. You took them out. You had them a good time. You got them fucked up. Played high stakes on the next day. They might have lost some money. And then you sort of, is that sort of what you did for a couple of years out here?
Well, I definitely went out a lot. Wow. I mean, I definitely took advantage of my 20s living in Vegas for sure. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I took people out, with the mindset of let's go play them afterwards. I mean, it doesn't really work like that, I actually, if I could rewind my life and from 25 to 30 not party so much, I would have had a lot more success because I didn't take poker seriously at all until maybe 3 years ago is when I kind of started really taking poker seriously again. All I cared about was having fun.
Right.
I just figured that I was young. I made a little bit of money from poker, right? And so I wanted to enjoy my youth as much as I could. And, I really took full advantage of that. And I cost myself a lot of potential victories. I didn't take tournaments seriously. I would go out the night before until God knows when and, get no sleep, go straight to the tournament. And I had no patience at the poker table. And so I definitely cost myself in that department.
Do you like looking?
But I lived my life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So like looking back, do you regret doing that? It's like sounds like you had a lot of fun. Sometimes that's more important than the monetary success.
I honestly think I had more fun than anybody in the world. I mean, I really enjoyed my life.
Yeah. Anyone in the world. Wow.
I couldn't have dreamt for a better experience.
So can you give us an example of what like a weekend would be back in the 25 or 30 years time? Like what exactly that entail? Give like the PG-13-ish version, not like the rated R version.
Well, all my friends used to come to Vegas, right? Every weekend there was somebody coming into town, and they'd all crash here. And
the same place right here.
Same place.
Okay. So right at Antonio's place in Panorama.
Yeah. And every night we'd go out. Every day we'd wake up, we'd go to the spa, we'd go have lunch, and we'd go out again. And it was just a constant blur of craziness. And I really liked going out. It was a lot of fun. When you go out with your buddies and you're all just kind of hanging out and drinking and chasing. There's my dad. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Can
you give us what's like a?
Hey, Dad.
Hello.
Hold on, we're live right now. You want to say hello?
Come say hi to the people, Dad.
Huh?
Come say hi to the people.
People?
The people.
The people want to say hello. You guys want to say hello to my dad?
I think they want to say hello to your dad.
Pops. Puppies. Say hello, Dad. Come on in. This is my father, everyone.
Come on
the
in.
Best dad in the world. He's so confused. Love you, bro.
Puppy.
Okay, just put that over there.
Ryan, he was a to come over in the next 30 minutes to an hour. Okay, so what I'm wondering is going out in Vegas. I feel like I don't do it right. Like it's sort of give us like some tips on how to go out properly in Vegas. I know a lot of kids out there, like they come to Vegas, they don't know how to go out. They go to a club, it's packed, they don't know how to get a table, or they get a table and they get a shitty table, or they.
Well, what you want to do is you want to be set up before you get there, and so think of it, from their perspective, they want your business, right? There's hosts running around town all the time, giving out their cards. So I'm sure through somebody or, some sort of connection, you can find a way to a host, and then you can set up your table beforehand. So you don't just show up and you're trying to, get in last second. So it's really about relationships. Bye, Dad. Love you.
See ya.
So if you have a relationship with somebody at the club, then you can make sure that you're going to be taken care of when you show up.
So were you kind of like a guy who did like people you didn't sort of know contact you when they got into town and they're like, hey, can you set this up for me? And then you set up for them. And then that was like
well, I mean, I just, I had a lot of friends that were coming into town. And if I go to Toronto, right, and I have friends that live there, I'm naturally going to call them I don't know where to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just because I lived in Vegas and I used to go out all the time, a lot of my friends and people that I knew would say, where am I going? And I'd be like, oh, well, here, talk to this person. I would tell the host and I would introduce them to so-and-so, and they would do their own thing and it'd be good. But my life was getting a little out of control with that. I literally spent so much time making sure other people had a great time because, everybody's coming to Vegas all the time. Right. And I found myself always making sure that people were set up and had this and that. And it was just too much,
So then,
and then, their friends are coming into town. Oh, hey, my mom's brother-in-law's cousin's, wife. And I'm like, this is just absurd. I couldn't say no for a long time. And then, as of a few years ago, I just stopped.
What was the turning point? Like what made you decide to start saying that?
I want to stay present in my life. You know what I mean? And I don't like distractions. And I believe that whatever you're doing, you should be in that moment fully. You know what I mean? And when you're doing things for other people all the time, it takes away from your present moment. And so I just yourself, no problem. But next of kin is I'm not, no more favors for friends, just them. That's it.
Have you found that's like sort of cost friendships or gotten in trouble with anybody?
My friends understand.
They understand.
Yeah, they understand. And it's all good. And I'm much more at peace and calm and living a happy life.
So how old are you now?
36.
36. So when you stopped going out when you were like 30, 33-ish? Going out as much?
About 32.
32.
Is when I stopped going out. Now even today, I still,
they can still find you out in the town here in Vegas
once in a while.
Right?
I might go out once every 2 months, properly. But I'll dip out once in a while, say hello to a couple people, just go in for a couple hours, not even really drink. I really just don't even drink anymore.
Okay.
But maybe a few times a year.
Pop into a club, make an appearance, get some handshakes. What's up, guys? Yo, what's up, right? Like that.
It's not like that. I mean, I'm pretty low key.
Yeah.
I don't like making a big show.
Not like Phil Hemmings. You walk up to all the final feature tables going on. You're like looking over everyone's cards. Like that's how it pretty much was during these past couple tables here.
No, I mean I was there last night, but I never, I didn't want to walk on.
You don't want to walk on the stage like
I don't know. It's just not my style. Everyone has their own style. Phil Hellmuth has a very interesting style.
He does have an interesting style.
Very interesting style.
Yeah. That's a Phil Hemmings story, but I think I already told it on the podcast. So.
Well, my favorite Phil Hellmuth story is this summer. I went up to him on break. It was day 3 of the main event, right? And he starts bitching to me about how unlucky he is. And I'm like, did you not win a bracelet this year? And he's like, yeah, but that was in Raz, and just starts going off about some nonsense. And I'm like, I can't believe you just have the nerve to tell me you're unlucky.
Right.
It's just like it's mind-boggling. He's telling me how he's playing so much better than everybody else at the table and this and that. And he's just getting unlucky. And I just laugh inside.
Yeah. You don't laugh outwardly to him?
No, I do.
Yeah.
No, I do. I love Phil Hellmuth. I love being around him so much because it's a revolving, it's a constant entertainment ship. I mean, He entertains me more than anybody, and he doesn't even try. He's just Phil Hellmuth.
Yeah.
You know,
He's I mean, just from interacting with him a couple times this summer, he seems interesting for sure.
Yeah, no, he's great.
Very interesting guy. I mean, I kind of can see why he's had a lot of success in terms of. I feel like being tall and just being like a big personality, being sort of in your face. It feels like I can see why he's had so much success in terms of, I guess, getting himself out there and getting a lot of exposure. Obviously, winning the bracelets definitely helps, but he seems like he does pretty well at those other aspects.
Well,
of things.
he's great at self-promotion.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, the cameras love him. The stuff that comes out of his mouth, you think it can't be real.
Right, exactly.
But it is.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to watch that? It's like Howard Stern, right? The stuff that comes out of his mouth, you're thinking to yourself, I can't believe you just said that.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Phil Hellmuth. You can't believe the things that he says to players and about how good he is and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So different approach, but it works.
Do you feel like these days you sort of always thinking about, I guess, the self-promotion type of things or getting your name out there more? I feel like your name probably in poker is already, I feel like
really.
You've got to be near the top in terms of, I guess, well-known poker players or in terms of popular poker players.
Well, thank you. I don't really, it's interesting. I don't know much about poker. I've never really been into poker. I think the only time I've ever been on 2+2 was when the whole Lex thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what's happening in tournaments. I don't know what's happening with POI and all. I just don't. I live my life. I play poker to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of people live their life to play poker. And poker for me is a means to living my life.
Right.
And so I just don't really get involved in the drama or the politics, and I don't really follow poker. I don't really know what's going on.
So I guess, it makes sense. Have you played a lot of poker this summer? Have you done a lot of events?
I mean, it's funny because I'm pretty excited about poker again. For me personally, poker I wasn't really that into it.
Was that after you won the one drop for?
Even after the one drop, I mean, I was into it, but I wasn't. This summer there was a big change in me, and I started to always do what I thought I could do at a poker table. Whereas before, especially, when I played the cash game at the Aria,
The super high roller cash game?
Yeah.
500K.
I would always not do something because it's just too much at risk. Maybe it's just not worth it. Why take the risk? And I just decided to just always go for it. And it made a significant difference for me this summer. And it's, first of all, poker's a lot more fun when you just go with it. When you think you can get away with something, you just go for it. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. And I don't know. So I just started playing differently this summer. And I'm really, really excited for poker again. I can't wait till the next tournament. I can't wait till the next World Series. I can't wait to get back in there.
Was it something new you might have learned, or is it just like, what do you think?
I had a moment.
Oh.
I had a moment.
It's like a secret strategy moment sort of thing.
No, it's just, something happened where I had a huge epiphany, and I just decided to start doing what I thought I should do in every hand. And so that's it. I can't really speak about the moment.
Okay.
I wasn't sober, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Maybe it happened. Okay. Maybe it happened to Burning Man. I don't know.
It might have.
Just ask Steve Jobs. He'll tell you.
Ask Steve Jobs, and R.I.P. Steve Jobs. Yeah.
Some people will get that reference.
Oh, is this an LST sort of reference right there?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess that's against TOS, terms of service for the United States government, I think. So.
Yeah, I don't do drugs.
So people in the chat, they ask if you have any Phil Laak stories. Obviously, you have a lot of Phil Laak stories. Can you give us like one of your better Phil Laak stories?
Oh man, there are so many Phil Laak stories.
You guys have done so much. You did the I Bet You show for a couple seasons. You guys were like a team basically. Whenever someone talked about high stakes poker on Poker After Dark and all the shows, you guys are like hand in hand. You used to punish each other and battle each other. It's like
I'll say that I miss Phil a lot.
Yeah.
There was a time where we were both just running around. It was just us two. Before he left me for Jennifer. And we had so much fun. I remember I went to New York to visit him the first time we met at the World Series. I'd never been to New York. And so maybe 2 months later, we planned this trip. I went to New York. We went out 11 nights in a row, just Phil and myself, drifting around, going to restaurants and everywhere. I mean, we just had so much fun. but nothing really interesting about that story. I bombed that one. A good Phil Laak story is I was right next to him when he broke his when he had the ATV accident.
That looked pretty bad.
We were both riding together, and all of a sudden I look over and Phil didn't realize there was a hill, and I just remember him I just couldn't believe I saw it. He just went like this, and he tried to push himself off the bike, and he got tangled up in it. And I remember he was in the hospital, and he was having so much fun with the doctor, and he was like just shooting the shit with the doctor. And I was just like, wow, this guy just broke so many bones. His eyes messed up. His hand can't move. And he's still having a good time. You know, Phil has a great attitude. I really like being around him. I will say that I've learned more from Phil when it comes to gambling than anybody else.
Do you have like one thing you could share with people out there that you've learned?
Money management for sure. When Phil first met me, I had $7,000 to my name. I went to New York on that trip, and I spent $4,000 of it. And I said, wow, I got to get back to work. I got to go back home. I spent, X amount. He's like, what do you mean you spent 4,000? Don't you? And I'm like, well, I only have 3,000 left. Because if you spent over 50% of your net worth on going out with me, are you out of your mind? And then he sat me down and he taught me money management. And ever since that day, I've never gone broke, luckily. So I could say thank you, Phil Laak, for that.
Well, shout out to Phil Laak, by the way. He's watching this. Think you watch this?
Yeah.
You could
Nah.
later on at some point in time, it'll be on the internet for a while.
I don't know. But I will tell you one thing on I Bet You that never made it to air, because we filmed season 3 and it never aired.
Really?
Yeah. So it's sitting on a shelf somewhere. We made a bet on who could take 2 Ambiens and stay up longer.
Oh my God. I've always thought about doing that.
and we were laying next to each other in this bed, right? There's all the people around. And we could talk to each other for the first 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, we couldn't talk to each other. So after 30 minutes, I'm hallucinating. I don't know if you guys have ever taken Ambien or not. I don't recommend it. Man, this stuff is no joke. And all of a sudden, things are wobbly. And all of a sudden, Phil starts snoring. Okay. And then he wakes up, but he doesn't realize he had fallen asleep. Mm-hmm. And so the director just let us keep going and let him think that he could still maybe make a win here. Mm-hmm. And then obviously after about another 20 minutes, the joke was out of the bag, and he couldn't believe that he had fallen asleep. I remember we were like, you fell asleep. He's like, no, I didn't. What are you guys talking about? And then we had to show him the video, and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then that night was a wrap. That was the last thing we were shooting. Mm-hmm. And so I remember I got up, and it's hard to sleep when there's so many people around, and we all actually went to the bar, and I got kicked out of the bar for being too drunk, but I was on Ambien.
Right.
That's how cuckoo I was.
Why don't you just go to sleep?
I don't know. I wanted to be with the people. I wanted to be with the people.
That makes sense. That's how long did you end up staying up for?
Not much longer.
Okay.
Not much longer. You can't. I mean, if you take an Ambien and don't go to bed, you're in for a ride.
Right.
Seriously.
I mean, just taking like Unisom, which is the over-the-counter sleeping pill. Like I sometimes just and try to stay awake as long as I can. And it's you like sit there and you literally, like you said, you're hallucinating while you're laying there. You're like in and out of dozing in and out of these like weird states of mind.
I don't know that one, but I know that Ambien is no joke. I mean, it's prescription.
Yeah. All those prescription drugs, I never fucked with any of those. Luckily,
I would never recommend anyone ever take those things.
Yeah. Do you have like a one memorable high stakes poker story you can share with us? Because that's like, so whenever I meet people out here in Vegas since I've been here, I always said like, what's your favorite poker content that puts out and why do you like it? And everyone always says high stakes poker. That's like their favorite by far. Like I feel like 90% of people I've asked, that's what they've said.
Yeah, I mean, high stakes poker was a great show.
I know, it was such a great show.
Incredible, commentator.
Yeah.
My favorite moment, I don't know. I think when I called Daniel with King 10. No, I had a pocket jacks and it came 10 rag queen, I think, and he had king 10. There was one overcard, and he check raised me all in. And then if you look at the clip, there's actually an actual moment where he gives it away that he was weak, and that moment right there, and then you can just see that I saw it.
Oh yeah, and then you like instantly called like after he said something like that, right?
And then I called him, and it was the right call.
Yeah.
And so that was probably my proudest moment, was getting him to give away his hand. My favorite moment was obviously when I got it in with Barry Greenstein for I don't know, like a $600,000 pot, and I had a double belly straight flush draw and he had a set.
Mhm.
And I said, "Do you want to run it twice?" And he said, "No." And I just binked it right on the turn, and then no pair on the river. That was probably my favorite moment. When he said no, I was like, "Oh, here goes nothing."
Wasn't he always like a run at once guy?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny. I used to always run it once too, but once we got it upwards of $500,000, I decided to,
You're like,
put my diapers on.
do those sort of games still run anymore? Like, are you still playing cash games that size, or is it just like special occasions?
Not
like
a lot.
no,
Yeah, mostly tournaments these days.
yeah, none of the. Were you big into the private games at one point in time, and then sort of?
Not a lot. I mean, I play them from time to time, but
Yeah.
not huge, not a lot.
Yeah. Feels like a lot of the high stakes guys I meet are always into they're all about private games. So like they're always playing private games. It seems like you don't play as much poker as pretty much almost everyone else I know in poker. Basically, it seems like
Yeah, I
you play
mean,
a lot
look,
less.
my idea of a good poker game is, not 8 professionals.
Right.
So you don't catch me down at the casino trying to grind it
You're not going to Bobby's or Ivy's room at the Aria and put in sessions there.
Well, if the game is good and I can get a seat, I would go.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not looking to play with 8 pros.
No, that makes sense.
I mean, it's not that I, don't think I can beat the game. I just don't. I have better things to do in my life than battle it out with a bunch of good players.
Mhm.
I'd rather have a good spot.
What's like the thing you focus on most now? If it's not poker, like what are you spending most of your time thinking about or doing or working on? Or I guess what's like your passion right now?
Well, I'm a new father,
Okay.
and so I spend as much time as I can with my baby.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, being a dad is the nuts,
Mhm.
the absolute nuts. I'm super healthy, work out, do yoga,
Mhm.
eat healthy, live a good, clean life.
So I guess that's sort of what your focus is for the most part. I feel like that's number
Yeah, I think-
one. Number two, like I guess those things are number one, and then poker sort of falls
Yeah,
back. in
family and health
Mhm.
and work.
that. And do you feel like you can still stay at a high level of poker that way, or is it just tournaments doesn't necessarily matter as much to necessarily stay at like the highest level? You think, or
It's a good question. I don't know. I've never studied poker until this just 2 days ago.
2 days ago, really?
2 days ago.
Wait a second. What year are we in?
Well,
2015?
I've just watched, the younger generation and
Right.
just adjusted my own style according to obviously how they figured out to play the game. And so just 2 days ago, I decided, let's take it to the next level and let's start studying and let's start working. So now
You open up one of the books over here and
No,
start reading reading the book.
I'm gonna spend some time and work on my game and learn some new games.
Yeah.
And so next year,
Mixed games.
yeah, I'm gonna learn the mixed games.
What about great game in Pot Mall? You ever learn that? You ever play that game?
I played it. I'm not good at it, but I'd like to be good at it.
I think it's a fun game.
I
You have
love
4
it.
cards.
Yeah. I really like Deuce to 7 low ball.
Oh, is that the no
Single
limit one or
blind, no
is that
limit.
the okay?
Yeah, I love
Heard
that
that game's pretty intense.
I love that game.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna spend some time this year working on that, and then next year at the World Series, I'll play a lot more events.
Do you think having a family actually helps you become more focused on poker because you don't have to worry about the going out things or the meeting the women and you're like always doing that sort of thing? Like doesn't that help you sort of?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes away some distractions for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because you bust out of a tournament, you're tilted, and you're just gonna. What are you gonna do?
Right.
You want to go out and have a couple drinks and go out with your buddies, But when you have a little baby boy, you just come home and play with.
Mm-hmm. Instantly cheers you up.
Oh yeah, no matter what happens, I busted a couple tournaments pretty deep this year,
Like the main event.
like the main,
Right. Yeah.
and that was pretty sick. Anyway, I come home and I just hold my baby, and it's all good.
Yeah. I
It just
remember.
instantly goes away. The
Yeah.
tilt.
So maybe I need to have a child.
I highly recommend one.
I feel like I'm surprised I didn't have a child already. I feel like when you're 25
How old are
to
you?
30, I'm 30.
You're 30?
Yeah.
You're young, man.
Yeah, I got a couple more years, then I can
Yeah.
pop one out here.
Yeah.
Are you surprised you didn't have a child when you were 25 to 30 and going out?
No,
7 nights
I
a
was
week?
very careful.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I never put that at risk.
Okay.
Never. I did. I
Me
never
neither,
wanted.
me either.
I never wanted to have a child until I was really ready to be a father.
So you feel like now you're ready.
Yeah, back then I wouldn't have been as good. I mean, I would like to think I would always be a good father, but I wouldn't have been as focused and as dedicated to my son as I am now.
Mhm. No, definitely.
So whatever you want to do in your life, if you have this drive to go out and party and do all these things, do it before you have a baby. because once you have a baby, that baby's going to need 100%.
So your nightlife experiences sort of have to go back a ton.
Yep.
I'm ready to have a kid. All right, I'm going to take a couple questions. You said you got to go at 11:30, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we got 10 more minutes. Let's take a couple questions from you guys in the chat. Who we got? Card player. What's up, Robbie Puppy? Antonio, what is your Poker Star screen name? I don't think you play Poker Stars. Probably not.
I plead the fifth.
Okay. All right. Let's see some of their comments in here. Any good John Robert Balan JRB story?
John Robert's done really well for himself lately. I mean,
I've heard.
He went from, supreme broke master to he basically, runs one of the biggest games that everybody would love to get into.
It's called the John Robert Balan game, I've heard.
Yeah.
So it's the game's called. It's
so,
his game.
He's done well for himself, but he's got a personality, and I think that if you want to succeed in poker, having a personality makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. People like him, and, he's hilarious. I think he's funny. I don't really hang out with John Balan too much, so I don't really have any stories. I have a couple stories from the old days, which I can't say. But I don't hang out with him too much. No. But I like him. I like his presence. I think he's hilarious. And when you beat him in a pot, it's the best.
Does he tilt really hard?
He just doesn't, he's got a little bit of the helmet syndrome.
Okay. That makes sense. Like this idiot from Northern Europe or this kind of
not as berating as someone.
Okay,
but he'll just, you could see that it hurt him, and he likes to kind of sometimes talk about it. And so when you get the extra juice of punishing someone, there's like added value,
What's that, like punish equity or something like that? It's like, so when you're at a hand and you're like, well, I should probably fold here, but if I punish him, like it's
right. Well, when you beat somebody and they just go off, right, like Helmet, right? So sometimes I might play a hand differently against Helmet because when he goes off, that's extra life juice. That's
just makes you excited, like gets you pumped up. And
free entertainment.
Yeah.
So John Robert has a little bit of that, not as much, but I think John Robert is funny. I like playing with him.
Well, I hope to.
And I'm happy he's done really well for himself too.
Yeah.
He has a great opportunity, and I think he's cashing in on it pretty well.
I've heard a lot of good things about him from a bunch of different people that I know out here in Vegas. So I hope to get him on the podcast one day. I feel like
I'm sure you can.
I feel like he'd be entertaining. Dirk Diggler says, "Hey, Poppy, what's up? Late to the party. Awesome live streams this past week. I'm happy to be back doing some podcasts." Antonio, what would you say to your son if he decided to become a poker player? Bruno, what's up, man?
Well, I would like to teach my son how to play poker. I hope he doesn't do it for a profession. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really hard way to make an easy living, but I definitely will teach him how to play. Mm-hmm. And I hope he does play, but obviously I want him to, be a governor or astronaut or something.
Yeah, right. Like, don't play. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. When some people ask me that, I'm always like, well, I probably wouldn't tell my kid to play poker, but at the same time, I'm playing poker, so it seems kind of like, poker's not that bad. You get to live this sort of lifestyle.
But I think it's really hard to get into poker now.
Yeah,
I think the competition is much tougher. Back when I first started to play, nobody even knew how to spell poker. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because back in the day, this is true. Okay, the 3-bet was called "Come Over the Top." Okay, and then that was it. You understand? There was no 4-bet. That didn't even exist. There was no terminology for it because nobody would ever do it without a hand.
Wow.
So can you imagine? And those days I was out partying. I wasn't playing cards a lot. I was out doing whatever. And so that's probably one of my. It's not really even a regret because I'm pretty happy and everything's worked out quite well. But yeah, there was a bunch of years where I wish I would have played a little bit more cards and taken it seriously.
Makes sense. I would have asked you this question like a year and a half ago for Dan Bilzerian's story, but I feel like I feel like he was the most popular poker player in the world at one point in time, but now he's like, I don't know if he still is the most popular poker player in the world.
Well, for sure he's the most popular. I mean, if you consider if you make his reference poker player, then for sure he's the most popular. I mean, he is so beyond famous, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, everywhere I travel to every country, poker comes up. That do you know Dan Bilzerian? I'm like, what does my life come to? That everyone's asking me if I know Dan Bilzerian. It's. I mean, I'm happy for him. But Blitz, I have many Dan Bilzerian stories. I mean, he shot me. Have you ever seen this clip on YouTube?
He shot you.
Yeah, I went over. He was having a little get together at his place, and he took a bulletproof vest he put it on the ground, right?
Mm.
And he shot it with a gun. I'm like, to me, it just seemed like a waste, right? Why not wear the bulletproof vest and get shot? It's a bulletproof vest, right? And so I put on the bulletproof vest, and he took his gun and he shot me. And it was one of the most thrilling moments of my life. It's on YouTube.
So how far is he standing? Is he like up close? Or?
I mean, it wasn't a. I don't know anything about guns, but it wasn't one of those super powerful. I mean, it was a gun.
Right.
I definitely would have been in bad shape, but I think it was a small caliber gun, and I was, I don't know, 5 feet away, and he just and everybody in the room was just, and I'm just, you could see, I had such a rush.
Wow.
And then he shot me.
Are you thinking about getting shot again at some point in time in the future?
No, I'm good.
Your shooting days are over?
Once a lifetime is fine. I'm a dad now,
Mm-hmm. What are your poker plans for the rest of the year? What do you got in store for any traveling for WSOP Europe or any of the EPT Barcelonas or anything like that? Or
I won't go to Barcelona. I'm going to WSOP Europe. I'm going to the thing in August at the Hard Rock.
Oh, the Seminole Hard Rock?
Yeah. And then I'm going to Burning Man, and then that's about it.
And then besides that, it's just sort of open, huh?
Sort of open.
Play it out, what comes up sort of thing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any goals for poker-wise or any specific life goals or anything that you're...
No.
Just sort of maintain the healthy lifestyle, family, I guess friends, that sort of thing?
Yep.
Makes sense. You can still get your ribs broken while wearing a vest. Well, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Happy I didn't tell you that now. Okay, so if you had to give one piece of poker advice to someone out there who's aspiring poker player or wants to be Antonio Esfandiari one day, or they want to be on TV, what would you tell them?
Stick with school.
Stick with school.
Stick with school.
What
would I tell them? I would tell them to.
What if they're not? What if they're not going to listen to you?
Always fold when you know your beat. And a lot of people just their instincts tell them their beat, but the math makes them call.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think you're beat, just fold. Money saved is money earned.
Money saved is money earned. Okay. If you had to recommend 2 podcast guests for me to get on that you think would be fun, entertaining, people would enjoy, who would you recommend?
Jean Robert and Dan Blazarian.
Jean Robert and Dan Blazarian. Oh, we can get Dan.
Bill Perkins. You should get Bill Perkins. Bill Perkins is awesome. He's so fun.
Isn't he like a life end boss sort of thing? He's like end boss is like in poker. End boss are like the top guys at the top, like online. You battle them to get through.
Yeah, he's a life end boss.
Right, he's a life end boss.
Yeah,
right?
He's
like the man, right?
Yeah, but he's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the coolest.
We'll have to reach out to them. But yeah, we'll wrap it up so you can get going. Where are you going to Utah?
Yeah.
Skiing trip?
Nope.
Utah? What do people go to Utah for? Church?
I'm
Mormon?
going to play a little poker.
Oh, okay. Some of these private games we spoke about earlier. So, all right, guys. I actually might be back tomorrow with another legend from the High Stakes Poker Series, Jamie Gold.
Oh.
And but I mean, I don't know. We've been playing this since December, so then it's July. So we'll see if this actually goes down. We'll see if this happens. But Antonio, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming on, making this happen. And yeah, we'll obviously be following along with things you're doing in the future. You don't tweet much, do you?
During the World Series, I didn't, and generally, no, not a ton.
All right, so you can't follow him on Twitter. What do you Instagram? Are you like one of the photo guys, the filters?
I like Instagram, but I haven't been on social media in, I don't know, a while.
Wow.
Oh, I did tweet something about Scott Walker the other day because I heard him talking and I just couldn't believe the shit that was coming out of his mouth.
Scott Walker.
He's governor of Wisconsin, I think. He's running for president.
Oh, okay.
And it scares me that this guy has even a 1 in 100 chance of being president.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. I just couldn't help myself. I had to tweet that. But besides that, no, I'm not really a social media guy too much.
Yeah.
All right. PBF, look at that.
All right. See you guys later. Be back tomorrow.
Wow, Phil Laak. Can Phil Laak say hello?
Wait, hold on.
Hold on, Phil Laak. Phil Laak is here.
Phil,
can you come say hello to the people? They want to hear from you.
We're doing a live podcast right now. Live stream.
Live stream.
So hold on, guys. We're not yet. We're not gonna wrap it up yet here.
Jeff Gross, ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on? What's this for?
You got to get in there, Jeff.
It's for my podcast right here, Jeff.
Say hello to Lex.
Lex, what's up?
What's up, Joey? Nice to meet you.
Phil, are you coming or what's your deal? All right, I'm gonna sit.
We'll get some bonus time here with the man, the myth, the legend himself.
I'll let him
Phil
take my
Laak.
seat. All right,
No, I have a flight tonight, so I'm not. You're still in charge.
I'm leaving.
I'm leaving too.
Don't you want to?
I'm only staying for as long as you are, up to 2.5 minutes.
We got 2 minutes.
All right.
We got 2
All right,
minutes
get
max
it.
here.
Okay,
That's
get
it.
it.
Because I got a flight.
Get your head in there. There you go. There he is.
Phil Laak, the legend.
I was telling him the ambient story where where you fell asleep and didn't
I can't win bets.
realize you fell asleep
I'm
on
a
that bet.
dinosaur. That's all over now. Be
What's
my
going on there?
dad.
Live interacting?
Yeah, so it's a live stream on YouTube, my podcast. And
Get in here,
people comment.
BBM. There he is. BBM.
So we got 2 minutes. What do they want to ask Phil Laak?
Playing a podcast with Phil Laak. Phil Laak, yeah. You gonna come on an official podcast one day?
I told Jason Somerville I would do his Twitch thing, but he keeps going up to Canada to do it. You know,
You want to do it in
he
person?
has a chip. He has a chip.
How many people are watching?
You know,
I think right now it's like
yes. Oh my God, that person saw it. You nearly killed. I almost
185
chopped
and
off
then back on
All American
replay. You'll have to
Dave's
watch it
foot
back
today.
on, the views later.
I went in reverse and sucked him into the boat, and he like missed it by a foot. I almost just chewed up his foot.
My favorite
It
It's
happened
real.
to someone.
Really,
It happened to what's his name,
the rope was caught around the speaker. And we're like, no, because it looked like it was going to snap the speaker. So I jammed it in reverse. I shouldn't be telling the world, but the world's I not only chopped off All American Dave's foot, I saved it at the last second. So I put it up.
Yeah, I remember.
You're never supposed to go in reverse when you're wake surfing. But, I know what I can do. Here, check this out. This will be the last thing. We'll close out with this.
This is pretty standard Phil Laak.
This is the closeout. Let's see. 1, 2, okay.
You show a surf video to video? Wow, it's actually gonna work.
That was an hour ago. Lake Mead with All American Dave Surf Fit Camp.
So what? People just care about watching you surf?
It looks beautiful. They should all be,
Who
they
gives
should all
a
be
shit?
signing up for.
Who gives a shit?
It's awesome. You gotta go. You gotta sign up for the
I
camp.
can't believe you
It's good.
stopped, went to get your phone to show people
Watching
that you're
surf.
on
Look,
top of a
okay,
surfboard.
what's better than
Behind a boat.
surfing?
Who cares?
What's better than surfing? Not much, but what's right next to it? Watching surfing. So these people aren't surfing right now. So what's the next best thing they can do?
It's not.
Watch it. You can watch any
What's your
surf video.
opinion? I'll bet you these people don't care.
I bet you that you're wrong.
Okay. What do you want to bet?
Well, I'm the expert.
Okay, people typing. Can you guys tell us if you care about watching Phil Laak's surfing video on his phone during a podcast? Please.
Sex. What the sick? I can't read this.
Sick dude. I was watching.
Gay Rainbow.
We
Gay
need-
Rainbow. Hey, DVF, they're blowing up your tattoo.
I love it.
You know
Okay,
he got
so-
paid $550 for a tattoo, right?
5.25. Was it 550?
$550,000 to get a tattoo
Show the tattoo. Give the people a taste.
$550 to get a tattoo?
by Bill Perkins. You don't know this story?
No.
True story. That's him. That's
Yeah,
PBF.
that's your next podcast.
What's the tattoo look like?
Have a
Show them
Should we have
the
What's that tattoo at?
550K tattoo.
$550,000 for a tattoo?
Actually, that's unconfirmed.
He doesn't care. I love how Martin says he cares. Martin Oskam, you don't really care about watching a surf video of Phil.
You guys, once you surf, you'll realize that if you
What?
can't surf, watching surfing is good. Oh, I got to hop. This was a lot of fun, guys.
Let's wrap this up.
Time to wrap it up. People have flights. He's going to Barcelona and Japan. He's going to Cyprus and somewhere else. And
I'm going to Utah.
I thought you were
We're
going.
going there too.
We're going there in a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. I don't know where anyone's going. I'm going to LA. Sir?
That's it. We'll make an
All right,
official
Joey,
one.
thank you very much for
Cool,
having me.
guys. All right, boys. See you guys later. Peace out.